Hey everybody, it's Friday, only 2 minutes late, so it's 3:02 here local time in Estonia. My name is still Kevin Murcko, as far as I know. I'm still CEO, hanging in there, here at CoinMetro, and today is Friday, so it's time for an AMA. And you know that because somebody just slammed the door so that they don't have to hear the AMA. But you guys want to hear it, so that's good. Hey everybody, MVB, how are you? Yeah, Deep Philippe. Let's see. Deep Philippe came in with the first question. I think MVB was first in the room, so gold gets the gold medal this week. Any news on when the THT AMA will be? Here comes the second door slam. Here we go. All right. Any news on when the THT AMA will be? No specific news on when we're going to have that THT AMA. I think now that we got the Cadena one in the bag, finally, after 47 years of trying, we should be able to focus on this one, on THT. That should be one of the next ones we do. So yeah, it's just about coordinating with the team. So let's try to get it done within the month of September or early October. It's really going to depend on scheduling, but shouldn't be too difficult to get going. What's good? I heard Flux holders won't get the airdrop. What's good, man? You will. We have been airdropped into the nodes we control, those parallel assets. We have an issue with BSC because we don't support it on the exchange. So we're trying to figure out how to get around that little bit of that issue. Well, it's not really an issue, but kind of make how to get that value back to Flux holders on CoinMetro. And that's still kind of being debated, I think, back and forth between dev, product, and other pieces of the organization. But we should have some news on that soon. But you absolutely will get those. The value will be transferred to you at some point, for sure. BizDev 90 seconds. Not sure I'm ready for a BizDev 90 seconds. I definitely want to make those a thing. It was supposed to be 60 seconds, and then, I missed the target by 50%, which not too proud of. But at the end of the day, right now, I don't think I might not be ready to do that because haven't been back in the hot seat long enough since getting back from Mexico after being sick to be able to put together BizDev. What I can tell you is that a lot of the pieces of BizDev, a lot of BizDev is going to be pushed to Q1 next year, Q1 and Q2, because we have a lot to get done. We just had a board meeting yesterday. I think this is the first board meeting we've had in quite some time, and it is a new board. It was a fantastic meeting. It lasted all day. We had a break here and there, but it was an all-day board meeting. We touched on a lot of things. We have a high-level plan. That doesn't include yet any specific points on BizDev product or marketing or anything like that, but it's a high-level managerial plan. And because we have a lot of things we want to get done to make sure we're ready to really knock it out of the park in 2022, I think a lot of BizDev is going to be pushed to Q1. I do think we will still potentially get some movement on one major BizDev, which is utility tokenization for some cannabis companies. Don't necessarily have an update for you. Finally got back in touch with one of the companies. We're going to have a call, I believe, Wednesday of next week. It's not set in stone yet, but that looks like it's going to be the date. They also want to have a quick follow-up with me this afternoon, just some brief questions so they can get ready for that Wednesday call. So a call to get ready for a call. But yeah, I would say that's the major BizDev that I have on my plate I'm not saying nothing may sneak its way in till the end of the year. There are other things that were on, let's say, the middle burner that we're now going to put on the back burner so that we can make sure that we plow through some things that need to happen on an organizational level to make sure that 2022 is, a banner year for CoinMetro. Nice to see you here, Crypto Factor. I'm so happy for this live. It's been a minute. Yeah, it has been a minute. Well, we did one last week. Was it on Friday? I forget. No, we did it on Saturday. No, it was Friday. It was Friday, but it was short. Yeah. Come on, man. Been back in the saddle now for more than a week. Appreciate that. Thank you. It does feel good. I like talking to you guys, or at you guys, or with you guys. I say it's with, you guys type, I talk, which is pretty much how it works on Telegram as well. Everybody loves my voice messages, I hope. Are you guys still hiring? We absolutely are, Indiana Jones. You know, I get that stuck on my head, that theme every now and again, and I just can't get it out of my head, so I appreciate it. Now the whole weekend I will be humming Indiana Jones. But absolutely, Indiana, we could use a guy like you on the team, so, you know, send over a CV. We got a lot, you know that scene in, all the scenes in Indiana Jones basically, but that one where there's that big boulder and it's like rolling behind them and he just narrowly escapes. That's every day at CoinMetro. So we need a few guys that can move out of the way of boulders. So right on. What are you most excited about for Q4? Most excited about Q4. So Q4 is there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens that might not be so visible to everyone else outside the organization. But what most excites me about Q4 is setting up the structure, recruiting, expansion, and setting up an internal structure from the top down that's going to allow us to explode into 2022 with more product development, more biz dev, more of everything, really. That's exciting, and putting in I would say the foundation for an exceptional new kind of family of revenue streams that we haven't really been able to touch yet because we didn't have the resources, human resources, to be able to kind of pull it off. And now that we started to bring in those new human resources, we can. So that's all exciting me. Again, it's not going to be so visible to everyone on the outside. I think indirectly it's going to allow us to grow our client base at a higher rate than we have been in the past. So that will be visible because you will see probably increasing volumes. You're probably going to see, we are going to see changes. It's not that everything else in the organization is going to stop. There still will be product updates. There's still going to be app updates, which I'm also excited about. Just releasing an app that was, usable. Skyrocketed our daily intake of new clients. We've also started to spend money behind advertising those apps. Obviously, right now we're spending a decent amount. I just noticed today that we spent, I think, about 3,500 euros yesterday on ads across different platforms. Most of that went into the apps, and that's only gonna grow over the next coming months into the end of the year. But yeah, a lot of the things I'm most excited about in the next quarter are going to be, foundational, administrative, managerial things that you won't see directly, but you definitely will feel indirectly as a client, as an investor, as a, whatever, any connection you have to CoinMetro, you will see it. Fake CoinMetro is back at it, so don't send ETH to an address when someone promises you they'll send you more ETH. Don't be a moron, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Awesome. Well, you are awesome, Indiana Jones. So, hey, Kev, any news on the 10x leverage? So we had a board meeting yesterday. We didn't discuss in that meeting any very specific updates we're going to be making, including 10x leverage. I believe we will start to touch on that in a follow-up meeting, which we'll have next week. So we're going to take some of those high-level things that we discussed in the board meeting, and we're going to go granular. Well, not granular down to, grains of sand, but we're going to go more granular from chunky updates to, partially chunky updates. I love that word chunky. That seems to become like a dev word now. Nobody ever used to say chunky, but now I've heard like 5 devs say chunky updates. I think that sounds amazing, chunky. I used to eat chunky soup when I was a kid. Anybody have chunky soup? It had the stupidest commercials. Anyway, so yeah, 10x leverage. It's something we definitely want to do. I want to, the limit we can go to is 25x, and that's mainly because of ESMA. So right now we're not under ESMA's thumb because we don't hold a passportable license across Europe. Actually, one doesn't exist, so no one's really under ESMA's thumb. However, since we will be acquiring new licensing that will be under ESMA's thumb, even though there is, segregation between our crypto company, say the exchange, and our let's say CFD options, futures, etc. company and licensing. We want to make sure that we stay on the right side of the regulator. We want to make sure that, and also we don't want people to get extremely wrecked on our platform. We also don't want to promote, super high leverage trading. Leverage, when you use it correctly, is a tool that can actually be of great use. When you don't use it correctly, it can be a terrible thing. So 25x is the highest we'll ever go, but I want to get there as soon as we possibly can. In fact, I am in favor of not even touching 10x and just kind of going right up to the 2025 threshold. There is a discussion internally about risk, and our risk team, as well as myself, have been discussing that, and we will discuss that a bit more over the coming weeks. At some point, restrictions, when you're extremely small, do prevent risk. As you grow, however, I think they actually create risk. And there's many reasons for that. You can give simple examples like what happens if someone was about to run out of collateral and there's a limit on collateral and they have more money to add, but they can't, so they get stopped out. Well, obviously, you just created risk for them for no reason because they could have just added more collateral and held those positions. Now, you may be saving them from an additional loss if they're in a really bad trade, like short Ether from $300 or something. You don't really want to add collateral to that trade, probably at this point. But so there's a discussion internally. This is definitely something we want to do. It only makes sense for the company as a whole. Now that we do actually have someone in risk, and we have had for some time, but it takes time to build up a risk profile of the company. There's a lot of things that risk needs to do before we can start making risk-based operational decisions. But that's coming. I think before the end of the year, we're going to see some limitations removed from several aspects of the platform. That includes swap widget, that includes the margin platform, that includes other restrictions that may appear around CoinMetro, including automation, where we've added limitations on automation for deposits withdrawals. All those are going to start to go away. I'm not promising they'll all be gone by the end of the year, but many of them will, because it's only going to help us grow. Could you comment on CM Flux partnership? Zelcore still doesn't support CM, but it does Binance, Kraken, Gemini. I haven't been in a chat with the guys from Zelcore in a minute, or maybe 2 minutes, actually. I think Oliver from Product has had a more recent call, but still, it's probably been a while. They've been busy on a few things. Obviously, when they release that they have, Binance and Kraken, those companies are simply bigger than us. We still have a great partnership with them. We still have communications with them, and they will support us. They have, they will. I can promise you guys that. We understand, though, from a business sense, look, it doesn't make any sense for us to try and push them to support us first. One, we don't necessarily want to be a guinea pig, even though we kind of offer that service out to many clients that we do business, that we're willing to do things to kind of test through their own infrastructures. But we don't necessarily want to be a guinea pig, and we understand from a business angle that they're simply going to get more exposure. Now, they'll get exposure from saying they've, connected to Binance and Kraken and Gemini, and then when they connect to us, we can actually, now that they have more exposure and more clients, more people connecting, we have more of an audience when they make the comment that they're now connected to CoinMetro. So it will happen. I don't have an update for you because it's not something that I'm directly dealing with. I would say put that one in the Telegram. You can tag Oliver with that one. He might have an update. And in the very near, as I said, they will support us, and we will be supported. But they have to make business decisions just like we do. Sometimes you really want to do something. I mean, you really want to do it. But there's always going to be prioritization, and there are things that are more important, even if it may seem that that's a quick win. That quick win may lead to issues if we don't solve other problems. Prioritization is always a difficult thing in a business. When you're small and you got 4 employees and everybody's staying up 22 hours a day, it can seem like you're moving fast as lightning and making all the right decisions. But when you get to the point where you're a more structured organization, that becomes impossible, but not for a bad reason, for a very good reason, in that you make more let's say, educated hypotheses and educated decisions about where the business should be headed. And then you move to the point where you actually have data and you stop making actual hypotheticals. You simply work from the data. So all that progression in a business leads sometimes to things slowing down a bit, but it also leads to just a more solid company. So they will list us. It will happen. We have had multiple discussions about that. But they do have to make business decisions on their end. Why is Flux exploding in price? Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's exploding. I mean, the percentage looks nice, but we've seen it in a range, I think, from 20 cents to 10, 12, something like that. In fact, there's a lot of arbitrage, it looks like, opportunities to me when you look at Flux, comparatively speaking, CoinMetro price versus other places where you can acquire Flux. But this range has been ongoing for some time. It may break the range simply because there's probably, the market itself is bullish. I mean, obviously, you look at Bitcoin, you look at Ethereum, you look at other players in the market, it does seem like the overall sentiment is bullish. So you might see them break that range, but they're still within a range. I haven't seen them break the range unless they have in the last, 30 minutes. I haven't seen the range breaking. What's next on the release pipeline? Any news on the XCM tokenomics page? XCM tokenomics page is in there. Again, another one by the end of the year that will, end of the year sounds like a long time. It is September though. We're about to roll in to the last quarter of the year. The XCM page has been prioritized on the front end. There has been a design for quite some time. I think I mentioned this. There was content as well from our old content team. We just didn't like that content, and it just didn't work. It wasn't spicy enough to be able to really launch, and it kind of just got stuck. And then we made changes in the content team. There was changes in marketing. There was changes abound, and it just never got pushed off the ground. We've now reprioritized it as of about 2 weeks ago. There's a current, I would say, undertaking, and if you've been in Telegram, you've seen some Oliver posts with some sneak previews as some, CoinMetro Redux. Redux is actually a good name because one of the external providers that we use is actually called Dux here in Estonia. So we're going to call it the CoinMetro Redux. Actually, that's fucking awesome. I don't know how I just thought of that right now. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. Anyway, CoinMetro Redux in process. Though you're probably not going to see the full brunt of that until the end of Q1 next year. However, part of the current pipeline for design is to get that XCM page over the line using some new assets as a kind of test, and at the same time to get the XCM page over the line. So I do expect XCM tokenomics page to be with us. I don't want to put it, again, I don't have the timeline in front of me. I don't want to tell you it's going to be here next week, next month, October 15th, I don't know, November 1st. But it is prioritized in design. Any more securities in the pipeline? Securities on our invest page, yes. There's one that's just about ready to get pushed over the line. Ad tech, it's an ad tech firm. There's a very cool one that we probably won't see for a few months, but it's a unique one, I think. Tidbit of information. And now this one may not come to fruition, so I don't want to give away too much information, but essentially it's a property in Estonia that the owners are trying to make into kind of a all-encompassing crypto hub, incubator, nodes, mining, all that good stuff. That one could be very interesting. Might not happen, but that's something that we've been in discussions with. Obviously, the cannabis tokenizations aren't securities, but they will be launched as kind of initial offerings and initial trade offerings only on CoinMetro. So while they're not securities, I think there will be a lot of interest in trading those assets once they're released. I expect, I don't know if we're going to see initial trading before the end of the year. They want to move very fast, so the cannabis companies would like to have done this 8 weeks ago. It does require a bit of planning, and it does require them to create hype and FOMO and create a market for that token before we actually launch it. That could take maybe, if they're amazing at that and they're, the best at it in the world, it could take weeks. I would expect it may take months, at least 2, if not more. So we're going to see when that launches. Potentially could happen before the end of the year. I would love to see it before the end of the year. Doesn't mean it will happen before the end of the year. Again, not securities, but a similar type of initial launch of a token. What can we expect from TraM 2.0? Any ETA yet? There definitely is an internal ETA. Again, you can tag Oliver on that one. Our he's in product. He would know. I've seen designs. I don't think that we're yet into the dev cycle on TraM 2.0. Some changes will involve clients being able to manage their risk better. So something like, when a profitable trade is closed, 80% stays in, 20% comes out. This way, you do not need to be closing open exposure to be able to pull out profits. And you can use like an 80-20 rule, which is quite common in investing, or your own, 70-30, 65-35, whatever. You can create your own rules and be able to have cash flow outside of a TraM. Now, not all TraMs will hold open exposure all the time. In fact, the vast majority of even retail traders end up, unless they're holding losses, end up actually, day trading where they only hold for a specific amount of time each day. But when there is a situation where there's open exposure, you're at least getting cash flow out of that account. There also will be a different mechanism and some, I don't want to call it a restriction, but a different methodology for how you can allocate both crypto and fiat. I do want to see limitations removed in terms of collateral. We might not see them entirely removed before the end of the year, but that I think we're headed down that path. You're also going to see some more statistical information, more information on what's being traded, how it's traded, and the history of accounts so that you have more information. Also, a much more intuitive design for alerts and warnings so that people understand both the risk, but also understand how the system actually works before they commit capital to it. Hey, Kevin, what were the biggest biz dev news you told us to wait for till the next AMA? It wasn't the cannabis news. Jesus, I'm gonna have to rack my brain on this one. Again, there's a few things that may potentially be delayed pushed forward until Q1, simply because we have a lot of work that we want to get done that we know will make those type of, let's say, biz dev or partnerships flourish much faster and easier, to be honest. So I'm going to rack my brain on that one. I'll come back to it. Q4 plans, I think I touched on that a bit. If you want me to clarify something, you can go ahead and post again. Hey, Kevin, are you going to be able to have something like sub-portfolios? Let's say I want to have one main, one for kids on this one account. We have talked before about custodial accounts for children. I think that's probably going to become more of a reality when we launch digital fiat, IBANs, and debit cards, etc. I think it's a good idea, specifically for kids and custodial accounts. Also, just for management, so you can have college fund, vacation fund, and be able to allocate, little buckets or little vaults, etc. I expect that, though, for most of that interactivity to be through the mobile app. More so than the actual dashboard on the web page or on the web app. So answer to that is yes. No time frame yet on that. However, yes, that will be something that we'll be adding. What you can do, though, just to cement it, because we have talked about it internally, go on Telegram, make mention of it. Somebody will give you the feedback room, the feedback channel on Telegram, post it in there. I will go ahead and make mention of this as well. I know we've talked about it in the past, but I'll make mention of it internally. And this way, we make sure that maybe we actually do get it in and get a date for it at some point in the near future. Is Zelcore still part of the partnership, as it looks like they're more keen on KuCoin in their app and recommending people to trade? It absolutely is. Again, it's about business decisions, and we're not, they will support us, absolutely. They already do support us in many ways. The whole Cadena bonding, etc. It is not just us and Cadena. There is Zelcore activity in there as well. It's not about the fact that they've chosen to support somebody else. We're both running a business, and at different times it makes sense to go in different directions. However, we do expect to see more support of CoinMetro through Zelcore. But I haven't been on a call with them lately. But again, this is, I would tag this in Telegram, and let's see if product has an update. And if not, we're going to schedule a call with them, and we're going to continue some dialogue. Any news on marketing? Still waiting on Facebook. I actually saw some Facebook ad spends in our bank account this morning. Marketing, we've started spending more money than we've spent, I think, ever in terms on a daily basis on ads, and a lot of those now are tied to mobile. We're working on some bigger things in marketing, podcasts, interviews, television, a few other things, also some additional interviews, blah, 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 blah. So all those things are kind of in the mix. We're also looking at some outside of the box things, which we may announce over the coming weeks. So marketing is doing its job, moving forward. Some of these things take time. There's a few things that we're working on that will take a couple months for you guys to actually see any content from. But I think when you see it, you're going to be, let's say, surprised and happy all at the same time. How many NDAs do you have open that you're not allowed to tell us about? As a company-wide, we probably have, at any one given time, maybe 5 to 10 NDAs floating around for different reasons. What do you think the XCM token could be worth in 5 years? Will the adoption, sale, public listing of the company ever make XCM null and void as such? So I'll take the last question first, last part of the question. A public listing would be for a security. XCM is not a security, it's a utility token. It would absolutely not go away. It's a fundamental part of our ecosystem. In fact, it's our biggest product. Because it's so think of it not as an asset per se, think of it more as a product. And so because of that, it is a product that represents the brand, and thus doesn't matter if we went public on 20 different exchanges, XCM would still exist. It wouldn't go anywhere. Would it be worth in 5 years? Look, I'm not going to do what most crypto CEOs do and tell you that I can't even give you an opinion, because I can. I absolutely can give you an opinion on where I think a utility token will be priced. I don't want to give you a specific price point because I think that's ridiculous, to be honest. What I can tell you is that all markets function the same way. So whether you're in the derivatives market, the bond market, well, maybe not the bond market because it's debt, but the equities market, crypto market, black market, whatever, any market you go to, even when you walk into Tesco, Walmart, whatever, Carrefour, you walk into the supermarket, all markets function the same. They all work on supply and demand. They all work on a market setting a price. Everybody hears the term price discovery. People have started to say that for new highs, which kind of makes me laugh because that's not necessarily what it means. However, that's how market functions, and crypto doesn't function any differently. So the more awareness, the more people that are buying XCM, the more utility XCM has that requires or pushes or entices people to buy XCM, well, the more demand with dwindling supply from vaulting, from eventually burning, from staking, etc. Well, there's only one thing that can happen, and that's the price goes higher. So now, over time, there will be not direct correlation, but very systematic, indirect correlation between the company's valuation, one, and if you look right now, XCM market cap and the company's valuation, current valuation as of the last funding round are almost identical. Now, I don't think that's a coincidence. Our valuation is going to explode over the next 12 to 18 months. So with that, well, I believe XCM would follow just on the back of that valuation, whether it be 4 times, 5 times, 6 times what it currently is. You will see XCM follow the valuation. Outside of that, it'll also follow the simple awareness and the use of the platform, meaning more people using the platform means more eyes on XCM, means more people buying XCM, means more demand. So with the growth of the company, essentially, you will see growth in XCM. It will not correlate immediately, and you may see indirect correlation or reverse correlation at times. That's normal with any asset, utility or equity or whatever. I see a big future for XCM, a massive future. I think comparatively speaking to where it is now, it's sky's the limit. There really isn't an upper limit threshold. You can look at other assets and make comparisons. Everybody loves to do that, and that's great. Many of the assets, though, because it isn't a highly regulated market, I'll give you an example. My favorite company in crypto, Binance, obviously my favorite company. I love to talk about them. If you start seeing a vein coming out of my forehead, I apologize. But I love to talk about Binance. So, you can look at Binance's, you can look at BNB price. You can try to make correlations, but you can't, though. You know why? Because Binance runs on manipulation, wash trading, and a bunch of fucking nonsense that if you knew what they were doing or had any indication of what they were doing, you would run to the hills. Now, when you look at other companies that have, the problem is that there aren't many legitimate exchanges that have a utility token, unfortunately. In fact, it doesn't really make much sense to me, to be honest. But you can look maybe at Bitpanda, right? Look at the acceleration of the Bitpanda token and compare it to their valuation, the market cap. You'll probably see some correlation. So at the end of the day, that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is simply use. I believe that, you know, if you look at think about potentially, you know, even banks that have stock. Now I know this isn't a stock, and I don't want you to think that it correlates like a stock. It doesn't. But without a stock in place, without an equity offering in place, and we will soon, but without an equity offering in place, or digital equity or whatever, people will assume XCM is kind of like an equity. They will assume that, and thus they will treat it as such, meaning that they see the company do well and they buy some. So anyway, I'll give you what I'll say to any asset. It's not just XCM. You know, the saying, your first million's always the hardest. Now in life, it's probably your first billion's the hardest. I don't know, or your first 10 million, I don't know. But your first million's always the hardest, which is kind of true, but not really. But anyway, so it's kind of true. Well, getting to $1 when you're a, sub $1, €1, whatever, token or asset is hard. Once you go through one, though, now you may retrace and sit under it for a while. Once you go through 1, 3 is the next kind of momentum target that you're going to hit. Once you go to 3, you have a range of 3 to 5. Once you go through that 3 to 5 range, you hit 7. That range becomes 3 to 7, and maybe even running back down to 1 based on volatility. But that 3 to 7 range, as soon as 7 is broken, 10 is inevitable. And then once you're into double digits, those double digits can move pretty fast. Actually, a good example of this is Quant. You can look at Quant's progression from, they didn't start necessarily in the sense, or they didn't, I think, well, they may have, but I think they roughly were on that dollar mark, pretty quick. But if you look at how long it took that range, 1 to 3, and then 3 to 10, look at a chart. You'll see the chart play out just like I said. 1 to 3, breaking 3, 3 to 5, then 5 to 7, and potentially with a 3 as a lower end. And then once that was broken, you saw a quick progression up to 30, 50, and now into the 200 range. And that's not specific to Quant. That's just trading psychology. Now you can argue that something like Quant has a larger berth, trying to tackle something like interoperability on a high level, but a large-scale, retail-focused platform that touches all aspects of finance can have a massive impact on a market, and can have a massive valuation, to be honest. So I think, relatively speaking, sky's the limit. I still think that it is well within the realm of possibility that we could break all-time high before the end of the year if things go correctly and the market maintains its current posture, and we stay on schedule. Even if we don't, though, I think 2022 is going to be an amazing year for CoinMetro as a whole, and also XCM. Are you going to start doing daily videos on YouTube again? I probably will, yes. I may start next week. Sometimes I simply don't have the time, and I don't. It's not necessarily the time to do the video. When I have a topic, I can do a video and I usually don't take a second take, so 1 minute. But it's getting the topic. It's having to take the time to go through Twitter, find what's trending, and that I just simply don't have time for. So if you guys are in Telegram and you want to say, hey, Kev, do a video about this and tag me on it, I'll knock out a video. Hi, Kevin, could you please give us an update on the feature to vote for new listings? So that on the markets page has been pushed back probably till Q1, Q2 next year. Simply on the face that we didn't see we did a little bit of like polling and things like that to see if people wanted to do a poll. It seems like a bit of an oxy. It seems a bit ridiculous that I said it now that I heard it come out of my mouth. But there are other priorities that we're going to tackle before we get there. The good news is that we're now bringing on developers for the first time, really internally. 2 back-end devs coming to start. We have like 9 or 12 or 30, 100, 350. I don't know how many pending interviews. The more resources we get front and back end, the quicker we can tackle those things. Right now, with our current resources, Q1, Q2, if within the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we have double, triple the resources in dev, then maybe it happens Q4. But for now, Q1, Q2. Any news on XCM liquidity pools? Another thing we absolutely want to tackle. It's interesting. We think it could add a lot of value. We need to bring on those new resources. Right now, with our current resources, if I had to estimate XCM liquidity pools, it'd be Q3, Q4 next year. However, if, again, we double, triple, if we triple the size, meaning that instead of one senior dev internally, basically, back-end dev, we have 3 or 4, plus with the addition of our awesome new UI XQI Kane and more people in product, so not just Oliver banging out product, but others with specific tasks in product, as well as an additional UI UX designer, as well as 1, 2, or 3 front-end devs, then that Q3, Q4 estimate could go to Q1. But again, it just depends on how fast we can onboard. And 2 are coming. So we're already going to start to see some movement. Obviously, they need to be onboarded. They need to get familiar with the code. All that takes time. But we are going to see a speedier development process when we get new resources. That's for sure. Yep, caught it live. Welcome to the amazing team. Hey, Jack. Nice to see you here, buddy. And I think I have a message from you, actually, Jack. I haven't listened to it yet. I'll listen to it this afternoon. Any plans expanding into Southeast Asia? We absolutely want to get into Asia, but getting into Asia now would be kind of putting the cart before the horse. We right now are focusing on expansion. Our biggest market as we grow right now is North America. So we're expanding into North America. We have this office in Mexico, which is not operational, it's administrative, but it's going to allow us to expand compliance and support and back office and finance and all those good things in those time zones so that we can support that growth. That's where we're seeing the growth. That's where we're focusing. We don't really want to put our finger up in the air and see if the wind is blowing toward, Cambodia, and then just, go open an office in Malaysia. At this point, we know that Asia is a big market. That's obvious. We know that at some point we are going to want to tackle it. However, right now we're focused on North America. Asia is, though, obviously on a list of, locales that we want to tackle in the future. You said last week this will be one of the best AMAs ever. What makes this AMA special? Well, I think I still have a bit of a tan, so that should be pretty special for you guys. I got a haircut. Jesus, that's like, I don't even know what else. I should just leave now. Mic drop. I'm wearing not only a CoinMetro t-shirt and a throwback, but a CoinMetro sweatshirt on top of the t-shirt, but you can still see the t-shirt. That's 3 points right there that I don't think anybody can really deny. And I don't know, should I keep going? No, on a special note, I think, I'm finally feeling kind of back in the saddle, finally feeling that slowly getting back into the game, so to speak. Our COO, Edward, is in town this week. We have a board meeting. We're gonna have one more. I didn't know where we were gonna get in this first board meeting. The next one this next week's gonna be more granular. Now I can't share everything that happens in that board meeting, obviously, but I'm gonna be able to share a lot next week as well. I think it's just about, there's a lot of progress in the company right now in all aspects. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've been hiring more people, finally having an actual compliance team, assembling an actual compliance team, finally moving forward with licensing, finally being able to focus more on internal design and stuff of product because we've expanded the team there. Lots of things. Finance, finally expanding the team so that we can now focus on a ton more of products that tie in to just our general financial model. There's so many things that are going on. And again, a lot of it isn't tangible yet for you guys. So you don't see it, you don't smell it, you can't taste it yet. I can actually smell and taste again, by the way. So it's that point number 4, just on a roll. So it's not tangible for you guys yet, but it's going to be tangible. And I'm excited about that. So, I think it was just a part of me just being excited, being back. I like talking to you guys. I think it's one of the best part of my job, to be able to come out here and kind of get feedback, talk to you, hear your questions, see what's kind of on your minds. It's a big piece, even though it may seem kind of trivial at sometimes. It is absolutely a big piece, and I'm excited about it. So, amazing security investment page. Thanks, Jack. Hopefully we get to see one of your projects up there soon. Wink, wink, hint, hint. New Parsec COO is an ex-cop from Singapore who discovered PRQ while working for Binance Accelerator Fund and left for Parsec. Kevin is greater than CZ again. I don't know how that necessarily makes me greater. Parsec did a great job by acquiring that guy. But yeah, well, you can see, look, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I'm going to. In 2017, I told everybody that 3 to 5 years, right? So let's see, 2021 minus 2000, was that 4? Is that 4? Is my math correct? So we are now in the fourth of 5 years. And the fourth year, we're now seeing action. Well, not seeing action yet. We're seeing vocalization from regulators that they don't want Binance in their country. The crazy thing is Binance hired the Singapore guy and said that they were working closely with the MAS. And then literally 3 days later, the MAS said, get out. You got to laugh about Binance, man, because, why not? They're a joke. Anyway, so the fact that, we're seeing all this stuff now, it's only going to get worse. But I think hats off to Parsec. Parsec is doing a great, Parsec is kind of going down that path right now of trying to find instrumental change makers for their organization. And I don't know if at some point, like supervisory boards, stuff like that, CoinMetro will do the same. When you need a supervisory board under licensing, you need a guy with 845 years of bank experience, then some other old geezer with, 9,000 years of, I don't know, twiddling his thumbs. You got to put people on your board. They have to interact with the company. That's how regulation works. To be just between me and you, that's why regulation doesn't work. That's why decentralization and all these things and consensus mechanisms make so much sense, because all the old school rules of you need a guy with experience. You know what comes from being in banking for 10 years? You know how to steal money from clients. That's what you get from being in banking. You know how to game the system. They have a saying in Estonia said, you all go to the same sauna. So you pretty much know everybody in the regulator, you know everybody. That's what comes from 10 years in banking, not necessarily that you're a upstanding individual. Anyway, that's my rant about regulation. But that's how regulation works, and that's how it will work for the time being. So we have to abide by those rules. The great thing about that is you get somebody with experience to knock ideas off of it, which is never a bad thing. Anyway, but for us right now, CoinMetro is more of we're looking for operational capacity, not necessarily advisory capacity or name capacity, like the marketing side as well of hiring. But I think it's great that Parsec is going down that road. I think it's going to help them immensely, especially in the crypto market. It's going to help them see new highs on their token, which is great. I'm a token holder, so I can't wait to see that. But yeah, look, I mean, CZ will be, no one will know who CZ is or was in 5 to 10 years. He won't exist in finance. He won't exist. He will be gone. But it's a process, guys. It takes time. So, we're halfway through that. We're about 75% of the way of Binance having major problems. So 2022 will be the year you see major problems at Binance. If they can solve them is a question. My vote is no. I could be wrong. I've been wrong twice, ever, I think. No, I don't know. Maybe 3 times. I don't want to seem too ridiculous. Okay, 4. I was wrong 4 times. When we transfer fiat funds to CM from Estonia, the fiat on-ramp is 30 seconds from LHV Bank. Incredible on-ramp. And off-ramp back to client's account, Estonian banking is truly magical. Well, in fact, when you on-ramp or off-ramp in any bank in the EU that has that is on SEPA Instant, it's the same thing. So SEPA Instant is actually what makes Estonian banking magical. It's not necessarily Estonian banking that makes Estonian banking magical. It's SEPA Instant, and it's available in across Europe. Not every bank has it, unfortunately, but more and more banks are getting onto the system. When can we expect debit cards linked to our accounts? If this was implemented, what are the tax implications? Hey, Jack. So debit cards, we actually just got some follow-up questions from LHV, underwriter of the cards. We forwarded that information. We're waiting on the underwriter decision to say, okay, go ahead. Then we go to Visa, MasterCard. Potentially by the end of the year, we could have cards. It all depends on this process and how long it takes. I'm keen to keep you guys updated. As soon as the underwriter says go for it, then we make the application, we submit it. That's 8 to 12 weeks after submission that we are approved. And then it's about another 3 to 4 weeks for implementation. From a logistical standpoint, that gives us probably 3 to 4 months that we need to start in creating some of this the tech that's needed to actually so you can use the card and see your account balance and all that good stuff in the app. Because mainly I think that's what and I don't think most people carry around their laptop and then make a purchase and go, oh, let me check my card and whip out their laptop. So most of that infrastructure is going to be on the mobile app. Tax implications. So you'd have to go a bit more granular on that one for me, because I don't know exactly what you mean by tax implications. If you have a euro balance on your account and you spend euros or a pound, then there's no tax implications. If you have, a Bitcoin balance that's getting converted, you are selling Bitcoin. So the same tax implication that would happen if you sold Bitcoin would happen from you selling Bitcoin. Now, let's say the tax authorities around the world may not be up to date on how those debit cards function, but at this point, because there are a lot of providers that provide similar services, they probably are. So I would say, yes, you're probably have the same implications as just selling a crypto asset as if you just sold the crypto asset. But you should ask your accountant to clarify that, because every country is going to be different and all tax implications are different country to country. Why can't you stake KDA on CoinMetro? Well, because they haven't fully launched their bridge. This is on the AMA last night that we had with Stuart Popejoy, CEO of Cadena. So they set an upper limit because right now they're paying those bonding rewards from Treasury, from their own Treasury. So they had a certain amount of Treasury they want to allocate. They limited it to 6 million. They said, how long do you think it'll take to get 6 million? A week, a month, a week? I said, I think it'll happen in a day. And it happened in a day, basically. And it was it. That was closed. It was closed. It will reopen, but it's going to reopen once that bridge goes to mainnet. Once the bridge goes to mainnet for ETH, which I believe is the bridge we're currently on, if I'm not mistaken, then you will see that open up, and then there won't be a limitation because the relay and everything will be actually earning them money. They will not be paying out of Treasury. So they didn't give a specific date. It was asked. Sounded to me like we're probably looking at early next year. But definitely that's a question more for Cadena. It was asked last night. You can find the AMA, the Cadena AMA fireside chat right here on our YouTube channel. By the way, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, what's wrong with you? Get out of here. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video. That's this over here. Make sure you like this video while you're at it. But take a look at that Cadena AMA from yesterday. You'll see this question was asked at some point. Somebody might even have the timestamp that it was asked if you asked nicely in our Telegram channel at CoinMetro, and you can go ahead and take a look. Do you expect option CFDs, et cetera, to go live sometime next year? Yes. So process looks like this right now. Current restructuring of our corporate structure here. We're going to need a new company. We're going to need to subjugate a few things within the current infrastructure. That plan will happen by November, and then the documentation drafting will officially start for the new company. And we expect let's say, beginning of January for that documentation to be completed, submission in January, 6 months, that means June, have an answer of approval from the FSA here in Estonia. So yes, mid next year, so Q2, Q3 next year, the new license. It gives us time to work on everything we need to do on the platform to make sure we can support options and CFDs. So hopefully we won't see any implementation delays after the licensing period expires. Hey, Susan, I love these talks. You are so real and pretty funny too. Well, thank you. And no one else does it like you do. Jesus, my ego is going to go out of the world. It's just going to blow up, Susan. You're destroying me for the next AMA is going to be ridiculous now. Thanks for helping me to enter the crypto market and feel good about it. Well, thank you, Susan. Appreciate you coming here and listening to me babble and adding another viewer on the board. So I appreciate that. But absolutely, I try to look. Finance is boring for pretty much everybody. I mean, making money is not boring. But I like finance and I find it interesting. But if I had to go to a conference and listen to a bunch of talking heads talk about finance all day, I'd fall asleep. And so I try to mix it up a bit, at least to as best I can. So I appreciate that. Where do you see XCM as a CEO of CM in 2022? I think I already answered this question. In 2000, I don't want to give a specific price point, okay? But I don't expect us to be talking cents in 2022. And I don't necessarily think we're going to be talking single digit numbers either. Any beans to spill on the secret sauce on yielding on non-crypto assets? The beans there is just classical treasury management combined with enough people to keep their eye on the ball, combined with general financial management, hedging, understanding of in and out flows, being able to manage treasury. There's not much magical sauce to it. It's just about not one person can't do it alone, even if they know how to do it. So I can give you a guidebook on how to do it, but I can't manage it alone on a day-to-day basis unless I'm doing nothing else. And even then, that means I'm up 24/7 and probably, I would die at some point. And that wouldn't help the management of the service if I died. So so at the end of the day, point is that it's not magical. It's not secret. It just requires human resources. And there is, there might be a bit of secret sauce in what we focus on, which I don't think anybody else is focusing on, but that I'm not going to spill yet. And that'll be spilled at some point in the future when we're about to launch. Hey, Kevin, are we all going to make it? Well, if you make good decisions, you stick to your guns, and you're patient and able to sit on your hands after you make a decision, and you never invest initially more than you can lose, then everybody will make it. There is no secret sauce either to trading or investing, by the way. I've told the story a million times. I'm going to tell it again because why not? Well, it's more like an antidote. Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett's not a great trader. Warren Buffett never picked the top. He never picked the bottom. He's not a day trader. He couldn't trade himself out of a fucking paper bag. What Warren Buffett did, and did very well, is he picked assets that have yield. So, I think he bought Coca-Cola, his average Coca-Cola buy-in 76 cents, I think is what it was. Now dividends on every one of those shares is like a 5X or something, or a 6X on what he paid for the stock. So imagine buying Ethereum right now at 2,000, and in 20 years, 30 years, you're getting 12,000 per year per Ethereum as a staking reward. That's what made Warren Buffett wealthy. It's not because he was a great trader. And crypto is very much like equities. If everybody in the Dow, all retail money in the Dow traded, or the CAC or the FTSE or the Nikkei or the whatever, wherever you're based, your local equities market, they would never go up 8 to 12% a year because most people lose money trading. The reason why they go up is because it's a hodl mentality, just like it is in crypto. So don't think hodling is lazy, or don't think, oh man, if I was trading, I would have tripled my stack. No, you wouldn't. You probably would have lost most of your stack. Just because someone in Twitter or Telegram says that they made an additional, I don't know, whatever, because they were in and out of the market and they increased their stack. First of all, they're probably full of shit. And second of all, so what? With the way that crypto markets can move, especially micro and small caps, right? If you put, even 100K in Bitcoin, even $1 million in Bitcoin right now, you're probably not going to be ultra wealthy in 10 years, But if you put, $1,000 euros pounds into a micro cap, that could be 20 million. So you need to, the idea is, if you follow kind of a hedge fund strategy, which is pick 10, 15, 12, 30 possibles, spread your wealth around, and then just close your eyes and walk away. You don't need a high batting average to do well. Anyway, I think, if you follow the right rules, everybody can make it. It's not, you don't need to be a genius, a super duper algo trader, a tech, a guy who can read a chart blind. You don't need any of that shit to do well in this market. Would there be a point where you wake up and decide you've taken CoinMetro as far as you want to go? Would there be a certain trigger for this action or a goal? As I get older, if you would ask me this question when I was like 25, I would have told you, I'm going to bring CoinMetro to, 100 billion and, I can do all this myself. Well, that's not the case, right? So I think that me as CEO, as kind of, the man at the top, will probably be here till we get into that unicorn status. And then at that point, I'm going to look for somebody who has a vast amount of experience that I want to work with, that has brought companies from that unicorn, that single unicorn status to Decacon or whatever, or, Millicon. I don't know where you go with the unicorn, but anyway, I don't know what it's called. But I've never done that. So why should I assume that I'm the best man for the job? Would I walk away entirely? No, of course not. I would still be on the board. I would still be here. I would probably still be doing AMAs, to be honest. I would probably still be interacting with the community, to be honest. I don't have some monetary goal set in my mind. I could retire today and I'd be fine. But I don't want to retire today, and I don't expect to want to retire tomorrow either. I enjoy doing what I do. That doesn't mean that I want to work 140 hours a week till I'm 90. Definitely, we need to bring in more resources like we're doing now. I want to focus on certain things. I want to focus on being, the biggest brand ambassador for CoinMetro. I want to focus on biz dev. I want to focus on bringing in new and exciting opportunities for the business. I don't want to have to, pay invoices or, do all these other things in the business that I really shouldn't be doing. And, it took me a long time. I still feel guilty sometimes when it's 2 a.m. and I'm not paying invoices or doing something. But it takes a long time. It took me a long time to realize that that's just not, I don't provide any benefit to the company by pressing buttons. I just don't. And I can provide much more benefit doing other things. So there is no specific trigger. I don't expect to ever really retire. So I would take a page out of Warren Buffett's book for this one. I'll be working until the day I die, though the definition of working may change as I get older. And yes, at some point, there would be a trigger for me to step aside and let somebody else take on day-to-day operations from a CEO role that I believe is capable to bring us to those next levels. Absolutely. Would you say the lack of developers in CM's biggest bottleneck right now? I would say it's definitely one of the bottlenecks. Lack of, you name the role inside the company is probably the biggest issue in terms of us moving faster and more fluidly. Hi, Kevin. When will the Flux snapshot parallel assets? I don't have a specific date, Michael. Go into Telegram, tag Oliver on that. He can probably give you a better estimation, but it is in the works. I believe I saw that I think he might have said soon the other day, but definitely it's in the works. Well, with all the new hires, what is the most important bottleneck you have managed to remove? Well, there's still, lots of them. I don't know if there's been, I think all these small little bottlenecks in different departments were a major bottleneck. I think we're starting to relieve tensions in compliance. We're starting to relieve tensions in finance and back office and financial operations. And definitely when the devs come online, we're going to start definitely reducing a lot of tension in development. Our new UI UX guy has definitely gone from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. So maybe we should call him Tesla or something. So yeah, we've seen a lot of progress. Again, the first progress that is going to happen when all this stuff takes place, you guys aren't going to see it necessarily because there's a lot of processes, a lot of things that are changing to streamline other things. But you'll start to feel it rather quickly with, faster withdrawals, faster deposits, faster compliance decisions, less necessity to communicate with support, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Any news regarding your government talks with the UAE, the investors I'm bringing in? No, I will be probably in the UAE for a brief time, maybe over a long weekend in October. So I plan to try and sit down and talk face to face so we can see where the progress lies. Unfortunately, we had a call set up, but they didn't know I was in Mexico and set it up for 3:30 in the morning. And I actually happened to be sick as well at the same time, so I did not get on that call. Apologized, told them that I was still in Mexico. They apologized, but we haven't been able to schedule because the woman I believe that I'm looking to talk to has been traveling because, her job is to bring new business into the UAE. So she's been traveling. I don't remember when they told me that she'd be back, but I did tell them I'd be there in October. So I think the next meeting might be face-to-face in October. Parsec price prediction. Look at things like Link for my longer-term Parsec price prediction. Has there been any clarification on burning the XCM, the vault? I've seen Parsec got clarification. I actually asked them to send it to me, but I never got it. I'm going to ask again. I haven't really dug into that. We actually have a new fantastic person on our legal team now, so I'm going to actually pass that off to her and get her opinion on it. As soon as we have an opinion, we've actually talked about internally already about what we need to do to convert from vault to burn. So I would say without a shadow of a doubt that definitely before the end of the year, we're going to make that happen as long as we verify that we can. Anyway, nice being with you guys. We just went over the 2-minute mark. Means we've been here an hour together. I love doing this, going to continue to do it. Thank you everybody for being here. As you guys know, it is Friday, which means the weekend is here. So spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it, physically, do it virtually. And when you're on that Yahoo meetup call with that new UI UX, way to go Google, make sure that in the background while everybody's talking, you are saying, with the mute, buy XCM, buy XCM, buy XCM. Just drill it in there. If somebody asks you, what they should be doing with their life savings, tell them, XCM is a great option. Jesting aside, not really. Have a great weekend. Again, make sure you spend time with friends and family. Thanks for being here. See you guys here next week. Tag me on Telegram at Kevin Murcko. Tweet me on Twitter at Kevin Murcko. And I'll see you guys on Telegram over the weekend. Cheers.